morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of our Reclaim Your Strength and Mobility workshop. So I hope you enjoyed it yesterday. If you couldn't join me live, I hope you've had a chance to have a look at the replay from yesterday and maybe have a little go at some of those exercises we did, even if it's only those ones that we did in standing. And especially at the beginning when I talked about engaging your core abdominal muscles in standing. Even if you only had a go at that yesterday, then that will be really good. So I hope you did some of those exercises, even if you didn't manage to do the whole routine with me. Now, I did get a little bit carried away yesterday. I overran. I was only planning to do about half an hour yesterday, but it ended up being about nearly 50 minutes, 45, 50 minutes. So today, I'm going to try and keep it a little bit shorter, and I'm going to try and get that routine in within half an hour. Okay, so I'm just having a look. I know there's some people who've already hopped on, but we'll just give that a minute or two for everybody else to join on. So if you're joining me again today, like yesterday, I'd like to know who is there. I couldn't see the comments yesterday as they were coming in, but I did read them all yesterday, so it was nice to see everyone saying hello and making a few comments. That was great. So please do that again today. I'd like to know who is joining in and joining in with me. No comments yet. Plenty of time for that, though. Okay, so I've got my little piece of paper, so I don't forget to tell you what I need to say before we start. The first thing, not many people have entered the competition yet. I was quite surprised. I thought we'd have loads of entries by now, but there isn't that many. So I'm just going to just quickly remind you about the competition that's running alongside this workshop. It's only open until, well, so the end of the day on Thursday, shall we? Because the workshop finishes, oh, that's tomorrow, isn't it? So end of the day tomorrow, okay? You need to scroll down the group to find the post. Actually, I'll post it again a bit later, shall I? It's the post with the fireworks in the picture, okay? And in there it tells you what you need to do to enter the competition. There's a link because you need to go to my business page to enter the competition. So click on the link. When you get to my business page, look for the post that says Share the Strength of Pilates. There's a picture of me there doing Pilates, okay? That's the post you're looking for. I've pinned it to the top, so it should be the first thing that you see. When you get there, like the post, okay? Put a thumbs up or a little love heart, whatever you want to do. Now, if you want to enter the competition, you need to drop in a comment, because as soon as you put the comment in, your name pops up and I can put your name into the hat. So just leave me a quick comment, just say hello, say I did day 1 yesterday or something like that, whatever you want to put in. And then the most important thing is to share that post. Put your comment in, hit the share button, which is just below the picture on the right, share it to all your friends and family on Facebook. And then at the end of the day on Thursday, I will take all those names and I'll put them into the hat, ready for the big draw on Friday, because I'm going to be back on Friday morning, 10:30, same time. No routines this time, but I'm going to do a little Q&A session. So if you've got any questions from yesterday, from today's session, the exercises we did or anything just generally about Pilates, then just pop me a comment below this video and then I'll answer all of those on Friday. Or you can drop me a message if you don't want to pop it in the comments, that's fine. But I'll do that on Friday and we'll do the big draw to see who has won the competition as well. Okay, so look for the firework post in this page and scroll down, and then all the details are in there on how to enter that competition. So that's the first thing. Right, next thing, I'm going to tell you about tomorrow's session, because I've got a feeling if I don't tell you now, I'm going to forget at the end. Tomorrow we are going to focus a little bit more on bone health and bone strength. So I thought it would be a really good idea to just put something extra into the routine tomorrow, do something a little bit different. So we're going to be looking at upper body strength, and we're going to be using hand weights. Now, don't worry if you haven't got any hand weights, because we haven't all got hand weights, have we? A good alternative, though, is a couple of tins of beans or those small bottles of water, something of equal weight, or anything else that you've got around the house that will do, okay? That's what you will need for tomorrow's session. That's if you want to add in a little bit of extra resistance and make it a little bit more challenging. You don't need to if you don't want to. But just so that you know and you're prepared, if you're going to join me live, that's what you need tomorrow. If you have got hand weights, great. Make sure they're nice and light weights though, because I don't use heavy weights. I use half a kilo, 1 kilo, the absolute max when I'm doing Pilates. We don't want anything too heavy. Okay, that's weights tomorrow. Is that it for now? Is that it for now? I think it is. I think we'll leave it there, shall we? Okay, so let me just check, see who's on. Wonderful. We've got quite a few of you watching again, so that's lovely. I've got some comments. Can I see them? Can I see them? No, I don't. I'm having so much trouble with these comments. I thought they would just pop up, but they're not. I'm going to have to do what I did yesterday and read them a bit later, I think. Right, okay then. So today, I'm using a towel just to support my head because we're going to lie on the mat today. We're going to do it all on the mat. Towel to support your head. I've got a yoga block, okay? If you haven't got a yoga block, that's okay. Another towel will do, or a cushion or something like that. This is just going to go between the knees a little bit later on, okay? So we'll just keep that to one side for a minute. So today's session is all about the core. So our core abdominal muscles, that's what we're going to be focusing on today, nothing else, okay? Now, our core abdominal muscles are really important because a lot of people think that the core muscles are just the abdominals, so they're just these muscles at the front here. But actually they're not, okay? The core muscles are made up of more than one set of muscles, okay? So when you switch on your core and you engage them and you pull those abdominals in, what's actually happening is that you're working all of the muscles from the front all the way around you into your lower back, okay? So you can imagine it's like stepping into a corset and someone lacing it up for you, okay? So you're engaging not just through the center at the front here, but all the way around. So it's really good exercises for supporting your lower back as well. So it's not just for working the tummy muscles and getting them strong and toning them up. The core abdominals, when you work them, they're really good for working your back muscles. Now, you wouldn't think that, would you? That if you switch on these muscles here and get them working, that it would be working the lower back, because it is. Because when you engage, it's engaging these muscles in the lower back as well. So say it's like putting on a corset. As soon as you draw in those abdominals and get them working, you feel all of a sudden that you're more supported all the way around the center of the body. And if you were standing up and you did it, like yesterday when you did it, it feels like you're standing up really nice and tall, and it just helps to improve your posture as well. So it has lots of benefits, okay? Not only does it tone the tummy up, okay, it makes you feel stronger in the abdominals, it supports the lower back, it will make your lower back feel stronger. So if you wake up with any stiffness, aches and pains in a morning in your lower back, just doing some of the basic core abdominal exercises will actually benefit your lower back quite a lot. Okay, so that's why I always promote people doing the basics if they've got problems with their lower back, because that's where we really focus on the abdominal muscles. Okay, so just working these will help your lower back, okay? But of course it gives us lots of power and strength through our arms and legs as well. So if you're moving things like heavy pots around the garden, or you're moving furniture or something like that around the house, if you engage through the center first, you'll feel like you've got a lot more strength in your upper body and in your legs, especially if you're doing a lot of walking, if you're climbing up a hill, okay? Engaging through the center, the legs will feel like they've got more power. You'll find it's easier to power up that hill. So that's what we're going to focus on, those abdominals. Got a nice little ab workout for you this morning. So we might as well make a start, haven't we? So the first thing we need to do is make sure we know how to engage those abdominals. So we're going to lie on the mat to do this morning. We're going to find neutral like we did in standing yesterday, and then I'm going to talk you through how to engage those abdominals, but how to check yourself and make sure that those muscles are working. So the first thing we're going to do is come down onto the mat. Okay, so we're going to set ourselves up so that we've got feet and knees hip width apart. Okay, Arms are relaxed down by the side for a second. So we need to be nice and comfortable on the mat. I've just got my towel under my head for a bit of support. So the first thing we're going to do is find that neutral position. So like we did yesterday when we were in standing, we did those pelvic tilts, didn't we? We just tilted the pelvis backwards and forwards. We're going to do the same now in this position. So very gently, all we're going to do is just arch the back. So now I've got a big space underneath the waist there. And then I'm just going to flatten the back. So all the space is gone. I can't get my hand underneath at all. And I'm just going to gently move from arching the back and then into flattening the back. And we're going to work nice and steady, nice and gently. We don't want to force this movement. Okay, you can just do this exercise on its own as a nice mobility exercise just to loosen up the lower back. Okay, but what we want to do now is we want to find that midpoint. So we don't want to be too arched. We don't want to be too flat. We want to be somewhere in the middle. So if you were to get your hand now and slip your hand and try and get it underneath your waist, ideally it should just be tops of the fingers that will go under. If the whole hand goes through, then you're still a little bit too arched. So you just want just the tops of the fingers to go under a little bit. And that's where you need to stay the whole time now you're on the mat. That's your neutral position. Okay, that's the perfect alignment that you need to be in. Perfect alignment for your spine while we're doing these exercises. Okay, so now we've found our neutral position, now we can engage those abdominals. So we're going to think about it the same way as we did yesterday when I talked about putting that belt on. So if you remember, we had that hands on the tummy yesterday. Now when you're in standing and you try and draw in the abdominals, you can feel what's going on because you can, if nothing else, you can feel the abdominals relaxing. When you're lying on the mat, you can't feel what's happening quite as much with the hands on the tummy. So we're going to do it slightly differently. So we're going to take two fingers and you're going to put the fingers on the top of your hip bones. Okay, so find your hip bones, put the fingers there. Now, from here, what we're going to do is we're going to walk the fingers in towards each other, just a couple of inches. Okay, so they come in a bit closer towards your navel. And then from there, I want you to walk your fingers down a couple of inches. Okay, so my fingers are sort of right in the middle of the tummy now. Okay, there's a bit of a gap between the fingers. Okay, but my fingers are right in the center, more or less, of the tummy muscles. Okay, so the most important thing to do now is just to press the tummy a little bit. And you're going to feel it's nice and soft because we're not doing anything. We're just nice and relaxed, okay? So what I want you to do now is I want you just to apply some very gentle pressure into the abdominals, just a little bit, okay? It feels soft. Keep the pressure on now because with that pressure, you're going to feel a change in the abdominals, hopefully, as we engage them. So we're going to do what we did yesterday in standing. We're going to think about tightening the belt. We're going to put it onto the 10th notch. So you're going to try and draw in your abdominal muscles as much as you possibly can. Okay, so imagine you've got that belt around the hips again. We're going to do it with the breath. So we're going to take a breath in first. And then as you breathe out, I want you to feel like you're drawing that belt nice and tight onto the 10th notch. And as you tighten it, you've got to pull in your abdominals so that you can get that belt onto the 10th notch, okay? Now, as you do that, keep the pressure on with the fingers and see if you can feel a change under your fingers. You should feel the abdominal starting to feel a little firmer under the fingers, even if it's only a little bit, okay? That's what we're looking for. Now, if you just relax and release and take that belt off, you'll feel the abdominals go a little softer again as you relax, okay? So as you engage the abdominals, you're looking to see if you can feel them getting a little bit firmer. That's what we're looking for. So we'll keep the pressure on with the fingers. We'll put the belt onto the 5th notch this time. So we'll take another breath in. And then as you breathe out, we'll tighten the belt again. Imagine you're pulling it nice and tight, but only onto the 5th notch this time. So we're not going to pull it in quite as much. Drawing in the abdominals again, but not as much as we did last time. If you remember from yesterday, I said if you keep the belt on that 10th notch the whole time when you're working out, those abdominals are going to get really fatigued quite easily. They won't be able to stay switched on. Okay, so we don't want to keep it on the 10th notch. So let's try it on the 5th notch, see how that feels. So you're not engaging as much, but you should still be able to feel something happening underneath the fingers. So we'll relax and release, and we'll take the belt off again. So this time, we're going to put it onto the 3rd notch. We're going to keep that belt on this time. So a bit of pressure through the fingers, take a breath in. And as you breathe out, tighten that belt onto the 3rd notch. Feel like you're drawing in the abdominals a little bit so you can just fasten that belt onto the 3rd notch. Feel the abdominals getting a little bit firm underneath the fingers again. Okay, so hold it there for a second. Don't take that belt off. So we found our neutral position to start with. Now we put the belt on. We're engaging through the center. We've switched on those abdominal muscles to fix us around the center so we can't move from that neutral position now. So if you move your fingers, don't take the belt off, just move the fingers and just rest the arms down by your side. So whatever we do now, you've got to stay neutral. You've got to try and keep those abdominals engaged. So we're going to start off with a couple of basic exercises just to warm up a little bit and make sure that we can keep ourselves engaged well. So we're going to do a one leg stretch. We're going to just slide one leg away across the floor. I think we'll do this with the breathing. It's a nice one to breathe into. So we're going to take a breath in to prepare. And then as you breathe out, we're going to straighten out one leg. Just slide the foot out across the floor. And then slide it back in. And then we'll breathe out and we'll slide the other leg away. Get it nice and straight. And then breathing in, slide it back in. And again, breathing out, slide the leg away. And then slide it back in. So it's a nice simple exercise, but it gives us a chance to really focus on what's going on around the center of the body. So staying neutral. So you've just got that little curve in the lower back. And keeping the abdominals engaged, keeping that belt onto the 3rd notch. Okay, so we'll rest the legs there. We'll take the arms up. We'll add the arms in this time. So we'll just challenge our coordination a little bit, shall we? So we're going to work opposite arm to leg. We're just going to take the arm overhead. Take it as far back as you can. So we'll take a breath in again. And then as you breathe out, we'll slide one leg away. The opposite arm goes overhead as far as it will go, but we're still staying in neutral, still got that belt on, and we'll switch sides. So the other leg goes away. Opposite arm goes overhead. And then we come back to center. And then we do it again. So we breathe out, arm and leg moves away. Okay, so as you straighten out those arms and legs, even if you only focus on staying in neutral, okay, do that. Because just focusing on staying in neutral means that your abdominal muscles and all the muscles around the center of the body are still working because they're trying to hold you in that neutral position, okay? So if you can't quite feel like you're keeping the belt on, that's okay. Just focus on staying in that neutral position, okay? Let's bring the arms down. Okay, let's build an exercise up like we did yesterday. We're going to do scissor legs. We'll do 3 levels. So depending if you're fairly new, if you're a beginner or you're a bit more advanced, we'll do something suitable for everyone. So you can just work at the level you want to. We're going to do scissor legs. So I'm going to do level 1 to start with. Nice and simple. Staying in neutral. Keep that belt on. Don't take it off. We're going to take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, we're just going to float one knee up. And then we'll breathe in as we float it back down. And then we'll float the other leg up. And then float it back down. Now, on its own, this exercise looks really simple. And it is. It is simple, okay? You could just follow along. Everybody could do it. It's a really basic exercise, but it's one that I use all the time. Because it gives you the time to think about what's going on around the center of the body. So it gives you a chance to make sure you've got your abdominals engaged, so that you're staying in neutral. But if you want to make it a little bit harder, when you bring your foot back onto the mat, feel like it's just floating on the mat, okay? You're not applying any pressure through the feet. Don't push the foot into the mat as it comes down. Keep it nice and light. And just by doing that, the abdominals have got to work an awful lot harder. I can feel mine working more now because I'm keeping my feet nice and light. Okay, so let's leave it there. So we'll do the same exercise, level 2, a little bit harder this time. So what we're going to do this time is we're going to bring the legs up into a double tabletop position. So to do this, you've really got to make sure that the abdominals are engaged and you stay in neutral the whole time. If you feel like you can't maintain that, then bring the legs down and come back to that exercise I've just showed you. So when we bring the legs up, bring them up one at a time. Okay, so we want to have the hip and the knee at 90 degrees. Okay, so we float both legs up. So now the abdominals have got to work really hard. Make sure they don't dome out, don't push them out, pull everything in. We're going to tap the toes. So we'll take a breath in, and then as you breathe out, we'll tap one toe and bring it back up. Tap the other toe and bring it back up. Breathe out, tap, and return. Breathe out, tap, and return. So it's a very light tap with the toe on the mat. Okay, let's hold it there. Level 3, we're just going to go a little bit quicker. So we're going to pick the pace up. So this time we'll do a tap and a tap and a tap and a tap. So I've got both legs working at the same time now. I've still got the abdominals engaged really well. I'm still in my neutral position. Okay, the legs going nicely, just a little light tap. Okay, but if this is too much, then you can just go back to the one we did before, or you can bring the legs down and do the first one. Let's hug the knees in for a second. So that's an easy way of showing you how we can progress the basics to more advanced work. And we can do even more with that as well. Okay, let's bring those legs down. We'll just have a little break from double tabletop, shall we? So this is, where have I put it? This is where you need an extra support now. So I've got my block, but a towel or a cushion is okay for this one. We're going to pop it between the knees, okay? We've got the ankles together, so the ankle bones are touching. Okay, we're going to hold that knee support. Okay, and we're just going to give it a light squeeze, not too much, not a big squeeze, just a very light squeeze, just so it doesn't slip out of place. Now, make sure that you're still in neutral, little space at the waist. Make sure the belt's on, still on the third notch, and just take the arms a little further away from you this time, just out to the side a little bit. So we're going to do a hip twist exercise. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the knees and the ankle bones glued together. Those ankle bones need to be, and we're going to send them over to the side. So we're going to take a breath in, and we're going to send the knees over to the side, and not all the way to the floor, just about halfway will do. And then as you breathe out, I'm going to bring the knees back up to center. And then when you come back to center, you need to make sure you've finished in that neutral position. Then we breathe in and send the knees over to the other side. And then breathe out and bring them all the way back up again. And then we do it again. Now, because we've got that support between the knees, we can use that as well. So each time you bring the knees back to center, I want you to squeeze the knees together. Okay, you can give them a nice big squeeze. So as you breathe out, squeeze the knees, bring them all the way up to center, and then release a little at the top. So you're not squeezing as they go out, just on the way back up. And just by adding in that little squeeze, it's easier to find your neutral position when you come back to that starting position. So a little squeeze, bring the knees up, finish in neutral. Okay, let's progress it. So this time, keep the block where it is. I'm going to straighten out one leg. Okay, so this time, I've got my right leg straight. I'm going to send legs to the left. So whatever leg is out straight, you've got to go the other way. Okay, so my right leg's out. I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to send my legs over to the left, about halfway to the floor, no more than that. Okay, we're going to give the knees a little squeeze again to bring us back to our starting position. We go the same way again. So we breathe in, legs go over to halfway, breathe out, squeeze the knees, and come back to that starting position. What we don't want to do on this one is to lose our neutral position, because that puts a lot of strain on the lower back. So if we use the block to squeeze, okay, it keeps us in neutral a bit better, and it makes sure that we're back in neutral at the end, okay, when we come back to our starting position. Now we need to do it on the other side, don't we? So I'll do the same on the other side. Okay, so we'll go again. So I've got my left leg out this time. I'm going to send the legs over to the right. So we breathe in. They go over to the side. Breathe out. Give the support a squeeze as the knees come back up. Release the block a little bit as you take them back over again. Okay, so I feel it makes the exercise a little easier by adding in that squeeze. Okay, and it certainly makes you more aware of finishing in a good position, because you always need to come back to your neutral position before you set off again. We'll make this the last one. Wonderful. We can move that support away. Okay, so that was our hip twist. Okay, so that's another way to help us think about engaging the core. Okay, because it has to work to bring the legs back up, but with a little bit of assistance with that support in between the knees. Okay, we've got the legs together. Let's fan the feet out. So we've got feet and knees back at hip width now. So we're going to bring our legs back up into double tabletop this time. Okay, so make sure you're in neutral. You've really got to stay in that position, because if you start arching your back in double tabletop, it puts an awful lot of pressure through those lower back muscles. So if you feel like you can't hold it, you need to bring those legs back down. Engage to the center. Abdominals are engaged. We're going to bring the legs up one at a time. Now, as an alternative, if you start to get tired while we're doing this, bring the knees in a little bit closer. And all of a sudden, that makes it a little bit easier. It's easier on the lower back, but it doesn't mean you can take the belt off. You've still got to keep it on. But just by bringing the knees in, it does make it a touch easier. Okay, one leg stretch. We're going to straighten out one leg. We're going to take it to 45 degrees and then bring it back in. And then straighten out the other leg and then bring it back in. So a nice straight leg. So I'm squeezing the front of my thigh. So I'm trying to work those thigh muscles as much as I can at the same time. But the most important thing to remember is to keep the abdominals pulled in. So feel like you're sucking your navel down towards your spine now. Stay in neutral. Don't let the back arch. If it is, bring the knees in a little bit closer to the chest. Hold the legs there. Take the arms up. We did this one on the mat. It was one of the first ones we did. Opposite arm to leg. We're going to send opposite arm overhead this time. So we'll take a breath in. And as you breathe out, one leg goes out, opposite arm goes out, and then we come back in. Opposite arm to leg, and then bring it back in. Opposite arm to leg, and bring it back in. So my focus is on supporting my lower back, keeping the abdominals engaged, staying neutral. Okay, we want to strengthen the core. We don't want to injure ourselves by not engaging properly. So if this one's a little bit tricky for you, you can bring the knees in closer, or you can go back to doing it on the mat. It's one of the first ones we did at the beginning. I think we'll finish there actually, shall we? We'll hug the knees into the chest. Okay, let's bring them down. Now, you think of turning the abdominals up. A lot of people think about doing curl-ups. So I thought we'll have to do a few of those in, won't we? And I'll show you how you can add in some legs and make it a little bit more challenging as well. So the first thing we're going to do, before we put our hands in position, just make sure you're all set up nicely. Feet and knees hip width, back in neutral, belt is on. Interlock the fingers. Take the hands behind the head. Now, we don't want any tension building up in the front of the neck on this one. So make sure that you just rest the head in the hands the whole time now. My elbows are out to the side. So when I curl up, I keep them nice and wide. Okay? My head's resting in my hands. I don't want to bring my elbows in, because if I do that, the tendency is I could just pull on my head a little bit, and that's going to hurt the neck. So we don't want that. So our hands nice and wide, head resting heavy, then you won't get any tension building in the front of the neck then. So let's start off with some of those basic curls, shall we? Stay in neutral. Don't lose that positioning. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, we're going to curl the head and shoulders up, elbows wide, look between the knees, and then curl back down. And again, breathing out, curling up, look between the knees, and curl back down. So this is a nice little basic exercise to introduce us to curls, supporting their head, because a lot of people complain that it hurts their neck, the front of the neck, a lot of tension builds there. But as long as you're resting the head heavy in the hands, then you shouldn't get that. what you will probably feel is the arms working quite a bit to support your head. So we'll do one more, and then I'm going to add in some legs. I'm going to do those basic scissor legs. We did them a little earlier. So as we curl up, we're going to float one knee up and then lower back down. Float the other knee up, do a little curl, and then lower back down. And again, breathe out, curling up and lower back down. And again, breathe out, curling up and lower back down. Can we do two more? So I can feel those abdominals working now, so hopefully you can as well. So we better have a little breather. We'll rest the feet, we'll rest the head down for a second. So we'll take it up one more level. Okay, so make sure you're in neutral, keep the belt on, keep the elbows nice and wide. If you feel that level was okay for you and you don't want to take it any further, that's fine. Just do another set of those. But if you want to challenge yourself a bit more, let's bring those legs up into double tabletop again. We're going to do the little taps, the little toe taps on the floor. And each time you tap, you're going to curl your head up. So we'll take a breath in to prepare. And as you breathe out, we're going to curl the head. We're going to do a little tap and then return. Curl the head, do a tap and return. And again, curl and tap and return. Still supporting the head really well, but keeping the abdominals engaged. Staying in that neutral position. Let's do a couple more. Breathe out. And return. Last one, breathe out. And return. Release the head. Hug the knees into the chest. Wonderful. Feels nice just to have a little rest there. I think we'll have a full body release. So we'll straighten up the legs. We'll send the arms overhead. Have a nice big stretch through the body. And then we can bring the arms down. Bring the feet back in. Roll onto our side. And then we can come back up to sitting. Oh, so there we go. I can feel my abdominals have been working. So there you go. So nice little routine. Again, doing it similar to what we did yesterday, taking some of the basic exercises, just building them up a little bit so you can see how you can progress some of those abdominal exercises. So if you're watching this and you're a beginner and you think, I'll never get to that third level, you will. You just need to start with the first one and then gradually build it up. If you're a bit more experienced and you think, well, I could push myself a little bit more, believe me, there are more levels we can add. We can do legs in different ways to challenge those abdominals even more. So that is today's session, focusing on those abdominals, mainly focusing on keeping the abdominals pulled in, so keeping that belt on and staying in that neutral position. That neutral position is the most important thing if you're bringing your legs up off the floor. Okay, so that's the one important thing to remember. Now, yesterday we did, I set you a daily task. I said, see if you can engage your abdominals, put that belt on while you were standing making a cup of tea or walking around the house. So today, I want you to do another task. Have a go at this one. If you enjoyed yesterday's and you want to stick with that one, that's fine. If you want to get down on the mats again, then what I want you to do is I want you just to come down onto your mat, find a neutral position and just practice engaging the core while you're lying down, because it does feel quite different from a standing position. So if you remember, we started off with fingertips on the hip bones. You need to walk the fingers in a couple of inches, then walk them down a couple of inches, apply a little bit of pressure, not too much, just a little bit, so you can feel what's going on as you practice putting that belt on and off. So that is your task for today. Have another little go at engaging through the center. And if you can remember the exercise, or if you want to watch the replay again a bit later on, just do one of the exercises if you want to, even if it's the first one that we did when we slide the legs away. Try that one and see if you can still maintain neutral and still keep the abdominals engaged while you do it. So if you remember, I said at the beginning that engaging the core is really important. It's not just about strengthening and toning the abdominals. It works all the way around the center of the body, particularly the lower back. So it's very good if you feel stiff in the morning, if you regularly wake up with stiffness, aches and pains in the lower back. If you've been working in the garden and you've been lifting heavy pots, I know a lot of us do it, that's when you need to engage your core. But if you lift without engaging, we can pull those muscles in the lower back because they're not very big, those lower back muscles. They're not designed for us to bend over and lift heavy weights. So if you do something like that and you wake up the next day and you feel a little bit stiff, I think a lot of people still feel that, oh, I should rest, I shouldn't do anything. But actually, if you just do the first bit that we did on the mat this morning, where we were just doing that pelvic tilting action and just putting the belt on, find neutral, then that is going to help. It's just going to work those muscles in the lower back a little bit, get the blood pumping a little bit, so it brings more nutrients into the area, will help the muscles heal a bit quicker, okay? But it will help just to loosen things up a little bit for you, and things will feel a little bit easier in your lower back once you've done this. So the basics, the easy exercise are really beneficial sometimes. We often forget about that. So that's for today. Right, now I've got something to tell you. What else have I got to say? Well, daily task, I've told you about that. I've told you about the competition. Tomorrow it's weights. We're going to do upper body strength. We're going to add in some weights. If you've got hand weights, fantastic, but there can't be heavy weights. So 1/2 kilo, 1 kilo at the absolute most is what you need. If not, a couple of tins of beans or a couple of bottles of water or anything else you can find around the house will do. But remember, you don't need to use the weights if you don't want to. That's tomorrow. Told you about the daily task. Right, I think that's it, except to say tomorrow I've got some very exciting news for you. Something is happening. I am opening the doors to my membership. Now, I only open it every so often. It's not open all the time. And this time I thought I would do an early bird special offer for anyone who wants to join me and has enjoyed the sessions this week. I would like to do a bit more with me, whether it's live or pre-recorded sessions. There's lots on offer. So I'm going to leave that for tomorrow, and I'll tell you a bit more about that when I see you tomorrow. So tomorrow it's upper body strength with the weights. I hope you will be joining me. Don't forget, if you've got any questions about today, don't pop them in the comments below. If you're watching the replay, let me know. Just pop in. I've watched the replay. I'm just going to have one last little look. We've still got lots of you watching. Fantastic. Oh, got some comments, more comments. Wonderful. I'll read those later. Okay. So I think that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, let me know. Let me know if you found it beneficial. It's good for me to know the next time I run the workshop, I know I'm on the right track, or if I need to tweak anything, then I can do that next time. So have a lovely day. It's our last day tomorrow, day 3. Can't wait for it. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.